All right, guys, welcome to the live stream tonight. So as you can see, we've got Thomas's van, Marine One, back in the shop, and excited to show it to you. I'm going to try my best to hop on this GoPro over here. All right, check that out. So I need to, hold on. That's the fun part about live streams. You get to see all the technical stuff on behind the scenes. All right, I got to get a microphone ready. Got excited to do this stream to kind of show you guys the update on this van, because I haven't put out the normal videos on like installing the floor, pretty much anything on this van. So we're going to do a quick walkthrough of it tonight. And then, hey Daniel, how you doing? And we'll take a walk through the van here. I got one bar on this. Oh well. We will just have to see how it goes. Anyway, we're going to do a walk around with the van. And if you guys have any questions, just start putting those in the chat box, because there's going to be a lot. So what I want you to do is, so that's Nova. Hey, Nova, come here. The live stream wants to see you. Come here. Oh, there you go. There you go. Say hi, Nova. She'll be in many videos, so don't worry. You'll get enough of Nova. Okay. Try to stay by this microphone. I got 3 hours of microphone time. That should be enough for this stream, I'd say. All right, so we got that going. Let's go down here. All right, check 2. I'm still here. Bear with me, guys. Getting this audio for the GoPro set up. Check 2. Check 2. There we go. All right, so that's going. Let's get our video feed back up. Come on, GoPro, you can do it. And the thing with GoPro is every time I turn this on, I got to go through this whole song and dance. All right, so you guys should be able to hear me. Let's see here. There you go. Not as clear as I'd like it to be. Okay, so we're going to hop over here to the GoPro in just a second. So what we're going to talk about tonight is there's 3 projects that we're going to do in this van. Actually 4. So the main goal is to get the items that we didn't get to towards the end of the year before the van had to go back out and kind of get do the shakedown run with Thomas so he could find all the kind of quirks, anything we needed to tweak. So there's a couple things we need to tweak from the original build schedule. So we got to do some upholstered panels in the back. We're going to cap off the upper cabinet area. It's just cosmetic stuff. All the core system is good to go. Now the projects, we're going to be upgrading the DC to DC charging system. We're going to put a secondary DC to DC charging system. I'll tell you why. We're going to install some USB-C and USB Type A ports. USB Type C, we're going to get a port from this right here. This is a laptop charger port. Specifically, I'm trying to find a 65-watt one, and this looks like the only one I can find on Amazon. There's others out there, but I'm telling you, shipping and trying to get stuff delivered is really challenging. So that's why I'm trying to stay with stuff on Amazon, because you're kind of guaranteed that type of stuff. So Thomas, if you're watching, this is this is the kind of the plan as far as the upgrades to the system, the power system. So we're going to go through that on this stream. I'm just teaching everybody, what a secondary DC to DC system looks like as far as integrating it into your system. It's really easy. And then finally, we're going to talk about, DC to DC. Finally, we're going to talk about indoor security for your van. So wiring in a wireless camera system, and then how to just kind of rig all this stuff up together so that you can run it off of a 12-volt power source rather than turning the inverter on and having to have kind of like that parasitic loss from the inverter running all the time. It's the most inefficient way to run very low voltage systems. For example, the Wi-Fi router that is going to be put in this van, it's only 15 volts, 2.5 amps. So completely unnecessary for a regular AC brick to be running it. So that's going to save us on power too. Because at the current moment, the amount of power, 400 amp hours, is a lot that we have in the van. However, we've got a lot of systems. So when the van was up on a trip up north, it was really cold, and he wanted to use like electric blanket and some other stuff in the van. And since it was winter, the sun's angle was very shallow, so the solar panels are not getting adequate sun. And what happens is over the couple days, this all compounds, and then your battery gets into low territory. And instead of having to just run your engine the whole time, if the last time you'd run your engine, you've got more juice from a secondary DC to DC system, if your van can support it, instead of like arriving at your campsite with 80% power, you'll be arriving with 100% power. And then if you need to top it off, instead of charging at 30 amps with your engine running, you'd be charging at 60. So, but you really don't know this. It's all good on paper, but when you take it out in the real world and you start using it, you kind of find out places that you can say, okay, let's improve this section. Let's improve this section. So that's what we did. Thomas got to take it up north and bear the cold. And there's a couple things we want to tweak so that we make sure we don't get, we're not worried about power. He had enough power, but the problem was it was getting to like 50, 40%, that sort of thing. And, that kind of gives you some anxiety, battery anxiety. So the last thing you want in a van build is battery anxiety. So we're going to solve that. We're going to solve like indoor security so he can monitor the van remotely. And then a couple more things. But yeah, if you guys are watching, what we're going to do right now, as long as my GoPro will stay on, is we're going to walk through the van, and I'm going to turn all the lights in his van on. We're going to walk around the van and talk about the different components. If you guys have questions on those, we'll probably use those questions to break out and do like reviews on certain parts of the van. The fun part about this van is it's very complex. So it's got just about every bell and whistle as far as electrical system goes. We're going to upgrade it even more. So yeah, if you have a question, it can just be a simple question. It doesn't have to compare to this. It can just be a simple question. Put those in the comments. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and do a little mini tour. Let me turn some lights on. Check 2. All right, if you guys can't hear me, put that in the chat. I'm pretty sure I see the signal over here on my end. So if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. That way I know that you guys are getting audio, because it cuts the other microphone off. Check 2. Okay. All right, guys. So we are on a GoPro 10, and this has the max mod lens on it, so we can get, huge point of view. So we're going to go ahead and check out this van. So what we have here is we've got a 2020 Ford Transit all-wheel drive. It's got the EcoBoost twin turbo V6. And look at that, it cut out. Come on. Come on, technology, you can do this. I'm gonna change batteries. Stick with me. It'll come back on here in a second, guys. Just bear with me. I'll go back to my face for a second. Yeah, this is the thing that I have set up here. So it's an HDMI, 1080p, 60 frames per second transmitter, and this bottom one down here is the GoPro. So the plan is to be able to take this around with you guys and off the van. So I think it is connected now. We're going to get back to it. There we go. All right, 2020 Ford Transit. And just to take you on the outside of this, we have the LP6s, Baja Designs. So we've got 2 of them. And then we've got the CA-tuned front bumper with the worn winch and a factor 55 fairlead up here at the front. We installed the Raptor grill, Raptor style grill. So this is a true Ford product. I got this off of eBay from Greece. There's a video that I'll link to show you guys where to get this. The video shows you how to install it. It also shows you how to buy it on eBay. If we go up top, we have the other Baja Design light bar. And I'm going to go in here and show you what we got here for switches. So right here we've got aux 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're just going to turn all those on. And this, the amount of light that this puts out is insane. So just to show you guys, these are yellow down here at the bottom. We also have these ditch lights. We'll be changing out this IR. Kind of didn't work out the way we wanted it to, so that'll be another ditch light. And then you got the light bar up top. These things are extremely bright. On the right passenger side, we have a Dometic. Let me get that off the screen. There you go. We got a Dometic awning. This is a self-supporting awning. So we might stretch it out in just a second, but I just want to show you guys at the top. We've got some more Baja Design lights right here. Same ditch light. I think they're the Squadron Pros. And then we've got a Flightline Vanco roof rack that's holding all of this together. So we have the up there on the top, and then over here on the right-hand side, driver's side, we've got more. And then did not go with the ladder option. It's not needed. On the back, there's an aluminous tire rack. And then we've got the come down here, we've got the black Rhino alloy rims with 245 70/16 tires. That's pretty much the outside. And then let's come up here and bring the ladder over, and we're going to talk about the roof. Let me know in the comments if this moving around is making you guys sick. It's kind of the first time doing this. So right here we've got the Flightline Vanco roof rack, and we've got 2 Renogy 175 watt solar panels, and then we've also got 2 Max fans up top. They're the 7500 Deluxe, so fully controlled by remote. And then Thomas has got this really cool camo print that's on here. And he's a Marine as well, so we got that. He's got this flag vinyl on the back. And it just continues. All right. All right, guys. So give me a thumbs up if you guys can see everything. Everything's coming through clearly. We're going to briefly go on the inside of the van, and then we're going to talk about the stuff that I got pulled up from Amazon. So the flooring system we went with is a ABC rig. That's the flooring system. And I like it. The next time I do flooring, I'm not sure. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, because we did have to cut the back section out. We did have to modify some other things, so maybe I would go with it next time or not. I'm not sure. And then we have the star of the show is the Vitri-Frigo fridge freezer drawer fridge freezer. So we'll come back to the floor. Since I mentioned the refrigerator, so in this van, as you guys can see, Thomas needs a wheelchair access to get into the van. And we have, so I did not install this, but I pretty much had to take it out completely so we could do the floor and then put it back in. So this is a really cool unit. So this is how he gets in the van, just lifts straight up into the van. And probably the most enjoyable thing about this van, other than working with Thomas, was just being able to be very creative with the space. Because this van, every van is great. But the reason that I enjoy this design that we came upon is because it really has a purpose. And the purpose is not only to carry his paragolfer, which is in the back, and you see this ramp area. We'll talk about that in a second. But I get really excited when I have to nerd out on the engineering, like really trying to figure out how to get everything to fit. And this van was no exception. We had to not only fit the paragolfer in the back, but then allow access for Thomas to come up front, be able to hang out in this space comfortably, hop over in the driver's seat. Like everything had to be extremely ergonomic, but everything is just very tight. So everything in this van that you guys will see today is, the tolerances are so tight as far as where everything has to go or can go. So let's see here. Yep. That's going to be annoying. So this is going to have to happen. It's the only thing that the GoPro is so cool because we can do the whole tour of the van, but for some reason, it just wants to turn off for a second and it's not getting too hot. But guys, just bear with me and we will keep this tour going. All right, we're back. Okay, audio good? There we go. So we needed that room for him to move around. As you can see, we originally wanted this step from ABC Rig put in here. So you can see there's a very fine line. And this was actually cut out because there's a foot step that goes in here, like just like a normal van. But after the first shakedown, we really needed this extra space so that when the door was shut, Thomas can spin around and just make it comfortable. So what I did is I saved this piece, and I'm not sure how I did it, but I meticulously put it back in here so that from a distance you can't tell that it was taken out. Then I used the rig of Hexa here to clean up, and then we've got a piece of aluminum that's painted black right there. And that's just to keep everything nice and clean. So that's our flooring system. The back of the van is really cool. Let's go ahead and let me set this down. Hopefully that won't fall over. So I'm going to open up the back doors, and then we're going to get the ramp out of the way. And once the ramp's out of the way, we'll be able to kind of show you the back portion. We're pretty much going from the ground up with the additions that we put on this van. What's cool about this aluminum ramp is it can be moved by one person, as you can see. Opening this up myself. So both Thomas and I agree that the ramp, if there could be some different way for it to kind of work, we'd be happier. It has to do with the noise, but I'm going to be putting in, so right here, this thing rattles. You can imagine when you're driving. So I'm going to tap and put rubber bushings here and here. I used cardboard when I picked it up, and the cardboard it took the noise away. It was an excellent ride. So from looking at the back of the van here, oh, I'm gonna turn let me turn these Baja designs off. Taking up some power. All right. Try not to make you guys seasick here. There we go. All right, so we got the back of the van. So this section over here is this section on the left is gonna mirror the right. So if you guys can imagine, aesthetic-wise, gonna cap this in, make a panel here. A piece of 80/20 rail is gonna go straight up to here. This is for RV antifreeze. A panel is gonna come across here and go straight up. So you'll have this kind of panelized corner. We need to adjust this and move it up. The wheel from the ramp, somehow, as much as we measured, it kind of nicked this wire. So we've got a new Red Arc shunt that we're putting in here. For some reason, instead of just replacing the network cable, Red Arc it makes the cable into the shunt. So you can't just replace the cable, you have to replace the whole entire shunt unit, which doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, so got the floor. We did a video about the lawn sill flooring, and one of my most favorite and I'd say proudest parts of this van is the ceiling. So it was designing this ceiling. So I had this image in my head, and I was talking to Thomas about, he liked this floor, and I wanted to kind of mirror the floor to the ceiling. And the ceiling it's just my favorite part. So we got the floor. We installed L-track over here. So this is an adjustable L-track. So you can lift this up and take it out and lock it into wherever you need to do it. And all right. There we go. We're faster now. So we got the L-track in the floor right here. So this is the rear tie down for the Paragolfer. Just type in Paragolfer on Google and you'll see the machine that goes back here. So we got the rear tie down points, and this is grade 8 hardware that is bolted through the frame of the van. So this is about 8 inches long, goes through the bottom frame. So this is extremely strong. I advise to always keep the latch next to the bolt over here. So that's the most safest way to do it. We'll come back over here to the water system, and then up here in the front, so that the Paragolfer wasn't go left to right and hit our really awesome power system that we put in here. This right here, this is another through the frame 3 grade 8 bolts into L-track with an adjustable cargo tie down. And so the way that these work is you just kind of get your hand in there, push the 2 fingers, and then push the spring, find where you want it, and just kind of slide it over, locks it in. One of the other more challenging parts of this van was moving the rear AC system all the way to up underneath this cabinet. So up under here, you guys, I don't know if you can see it, but underneath the hot water heater, that white hot water heater, is the air conditioning unit. And then it is ducted underneath this, I'm not going to pull this out because there's a bunch of stuff in here, but underneath this pull-out cabinet, this is the pull-out cabinet, we have rear air conditioning from the Ford unit. And there's some guys, these HVAC guys did it. I'm not sure how Thomas found them. Trying to find, here we go. I'm getting my flashlight. Hey Thomas, I see you in the chat. Yeah, the van looks good, right? All right, so this, let me make sure, yep, video's working. Guys, this was kind of like the aerospace part of this van. The company that did that, and they did a fantastic job. All right, let's get back in the van. All right, so we did that. And then for the water system over here, I guess I should have brought, see if I can get my, constantly bathe in. Let me get the red arc system up here. All right, guys, so we have the red arc system. Let's see if I can get that. There you go. So we got the red arc system pulled up on my phone. And this app on the phone is how everything is controlled in this van. So we have this system up here. So that's the red arc, red vision with the manager 30. That is the box that's in the back that we just showed you. But for this, what we can do is go to our controls and we can go through and we can set every control that we want to. We have the awning LED, the motor. So now we got the water pump. So I'm just going to touch this for a second. And we do have water in there, so make sure all the valves are shut off. I'm just going to turn it on for a second. So you can get as complicated as you want to with a van water system. You can cut a hole out. You can bolt in a float with sensors, and you can calibrate it to 4 different locations and have like 0, 25, 50, 75, 100%. But you got to remember, every time you add something to the van, it's just more complexity added. It's more potential problems. So if you can do simple things, it's going to make your life so much easier. So all we did is I just cut out a hole in the panel covering the water tank. I've got a blue LED wired in line to the water pump power. So when I go over here to touch the water pump on, you're going to see that it turns the light on. So you see that? So once your pump comes on, you can check your water level. And you guys can see the difference in color. We know that our water level is right there. So pretty cool. And we can turn that off. And then same thing, all the lights are controlled by the phone. Yeah. So that's kind of the bottom. Right here we put an extra piece of aluminum because it's kind of getting beat up by the Paragoffer. But this is meant to be, this is a wearable strip. So if this ever gets damaged enough to where we want to put another one in, we just take it out, cut another one, pop it in. It's real easy. So it's meant to be scratched up and warm right here. So moving on in here, we're going to go again bottom to top. This is our power system. So our power system, we have 4 SOK 100 amp hour batteries. So we got 400 amp hours, and it's all we could put in here. There is absolutely no room in this van. We have over here 20 gallons. So we have our spray down. We've got our 20-gallon water tank. We have a pull out. We have a slide out kitchen cabinet. Remember, we have gray water storage. So that's our, I think, 7 gallons. Gray water storage. We have our Ford AC unit. Then we have a 4-gallon hot water tank on top of that. And we just barely have enough room for, the sink. So as we go left to right, you can see that there's no space at all unused. We got the fridge. And I did want to mention the reason that we got this fridge is, if you can imagine, say you've wheeled into this area. If you had a fridge door, you'd have to open that door all the way out. So instead, if he wants to come up here, he can just pop it open halfway, put his hand in, and close it. You don't have to open the fridge all the way. That's why we decided to go with this one. And then as we move over here, this was the only extra room we had. It was just this much. But remember, this is a swivel seat so that he can get in and out. And this seat, when you spin it around, obviously it gets close to this, so we needed to keep this space. That was really important. We're going to be relocating this. This is just temporary, but this is going to go down here in the middle, and this will be all cleaned up, nice and flush. This right here, this wire, we really can't do anything about it because the power that the Baja Design system uses, it's just so much power. And because it's so much power, hold on. Here we go. Come on, GoPro. You can do it. Because there's so much power, remember, we have to supply all those systems with power. And so this is what is the power supplying not only the light bar, but all the front lights, the LP6s, the two LP6s, the LED light bar, the ditch light, and then the IR, which we'll be changing, like I said earlier. So still wondering what I want to do as far as cleaning this up. Might talk to Thomas and maybe we just kind of leave it like this and just have it all cleaned up. There's still a cover that goes over this, so that'll be nice and clean. But the problem is we can't really do an angle iron because we can't put the wires underneath here. There's just no room. So you can really get specific with your design, but at the same time you're going to run into obstacles, and that's just part of the custom world. This is the main fuse. It's a 50 amp fuse that goes from the engine battery / alternator. That's where the power is coming from, the engine and the batteries. On the engine side, that 6-gauge wire is going to go over. That's what goes to the Manager 30 and charges the batteries while the engine's running. You want this to be readily available so that in the event that this blows, you can just quickly open this up, pop off the fuse, pop it back on, and then you're good to go. So you want that into a place where you can access it. So you see, again, very little room. Over here we have ARB compressor. We've got Manager 30. Then we've got all of our batteries. This is the Red Vision system where all the wireless connections are. We've got our breaker for solar, Lynx distributor, Kotex SP3000 inverter. So as you can see, this stuff is just meticulously stacked all the way in here. These are two bump outs for some USB fans that'll be exchanging air for the inverter. It's more of an insurance
policy. It's not really necessary at the current moment. It's never gotten hot enough, but it's just, we want to make this extremely as robust as possible. Then we have a JL Audio subwoofer and a custom enclosure behind here. Behind here, this will be all redone the next coming weeks. We're getting rid of this and this. This is a dummy. We've relocated this dimmer right here to here. This is the only switch in the whole van. Everything else is wirelessly controlled either by the Red Vision or the Garmin power switch. And then this is our amplifier for our subwoofer. We'll talk about this electrical panel in just a second. Then coming down here, this is our main disconnect. And one thing that was really important to me, again, you guys heard me say it in the past, is safety. So if Thomas is getting in and out of his van, the last thing you want to have happen is the battery die and this is not able to operate. So what I did was, I know that there was a combiner for like AGM lead acid batteries, and you're not supposed to mix AGM or lead acid with lithium. But in an emergency situation, it's really not going to be a big deal if you connect them for a couple seconds, like 30 seconds or something like that. So what this does is, when it's in the on position, this system has 4 terminals on the back side. So you have your power in connected, and then you have your lithium connection on the other side. So when you turn it on, both circuits are engaged. The left side is what powers this, and that's the engine battery. The right side is what connects to lithium. So if I turn this off, it would be disconnecting the lithium, and it would be disconnecting the 6-gauge wire coming in from the battery. So in the event that the car battery dies for whatever reason, left lights on or whatever, he can turn this to combined batteries. He can just turn it to the right for a momentary moment, just so he can get in or out safely, and then go back to the on switch. Yeah, I know this is annoying, guys, but let's see here. It's not too bad. This takes me a couple seconds. I would do it with my big kind of like movie camera, my 1DX Mark II, but the problem is there is no stabilization, and you guys, I've already tried it, you guys would be seasick. Anyway, so this thing can combine it momentarily, get in and out safely, and then go back and resume position. So yeah, let's move up. Let's talk about the power system last, and let's talk about some of the nice to have features. So we did an epoxy countertop, and I haven't cleaned it up here, so it's kind of dusty. But we've got a LK 15 by 15. It's a composite sink. It's really, really cool. Everything, Thomas really liked matte black, so we tried to do everything in matte black. We still have a faucet here that he can move around, kind of get down in here. Hot, cold water. And then up here, we've got this really cool 80/20 slider. So what you can do is, these channels right here, they snap into the 80/20, and that allows you to open and close this. It's really, really cool. So it's easier in a van. Instead of something folding out or a door coming out this way, it's just easier to come with this, put it in and then just shut it. And it worked really well for our situation. I'm gonna pause for a second and let's check the chat. Oh, hey, Going Do.
Glad you could make it in here. Thomas is in here. Daniel's in here. Cool. Let's see here. Is that a fridge or freezer or just a 2-drawer? So it's both. So it can go fridge, fridge, freezer. I don't know if it's freezer. I'm not sure yet, because I think the way that it cools is from the bottom up. So I know the bottom one can do that. I'm not sure if the top one can do that. But don't worry, we're going to be troubleshooting that fridge in another video. There's a sensor that is flipping an error. So we want to, it'll be good to show you guys how to troubleshoot a fridge. The cool thing is, Victory Frigo, I've been on the phone with them. They've sent me all the documents for troubleshooting, and whatever happens, they're going to take care of it. But in the real world, it's better if I can just troubleshoot it and do like a quick reset, or maybe unplug a sensor, have it shipped in, and plug a new one back in, than having to take the fridge out, send it off. So even though a fridge is nice as that, you don't want it to mess up. In reality, you need to pick the smarter option. And so you could get really upset, complain, try to whatever. But to me, I want to just solve the problem and then move on. Plus, I get to learn how to go through the troubleshooting guide and troubleshoot these fridges, because this is an extremely nice fridge. So I'm assuming it's going to be probably something just simple, really simple. But yeah, I'll bring you guys along the journey. Cool. Let's keep going.
And yeah, guys, put in the chat. Let me know if this GoPro kind of doing this is working out. I think it's really cool. I got this idea from a guy who does car tint. He wears this on his head, and you watch him do car tinting live. And that's how I figured out how to connect all this. Anyway, so we got our cabinet here. I mean, this type of storage in a van is just, it's so hard for storage. So, for example, we've got the van wipe shelves up here. So I upholstered this shelf. It was bare metal, but I just felt like it'd be nice. It'd be softer, like a softer feel if I upholstered it. And the upholstering is held up really well. It does have an integrated thing for a curtain, but we're just temporarily using this. And then the top here, get this. Sorry guys, I get to show off here. Show off my my detail for the end pieces. I wanted to make sure those things were perfect. Hold on. Stand by, we're doing good. This is probably like a power thing. So what I'm gonna do is do a new setup for the next stream. And I'll play with this GoPro just a little bit more. Because the guy that does the window tinting, this does not happen to him. It doesn't just power off randomly like that. But anyway, we have our slatted ceiling, and I've got it, there's a lip here. And what I did is I've ended it exactly where that little drop off is. This shelf is meant for a high roof van. If you're wondering why, you're like, Nick, that is really shallow. It's meant for a high roof. We're in a medium roof van. But it's still enough room to put the covers. So you can still put the covers up there. So I've got this upholstered. It's hard to see, but this is upholstered with 4-way stretch fabric. We're gonna do the same over here, and again, clean this up. But my point is, wherever you can get storage, get storage. So this over the sink is good. And then we just, so we'll actually be putting in that plastic that clears up this void. So any type of void here, and the 80/20 will be cleaning up. But what's so cool about 80/20 is this is a bar, so Thomas can hop in and out of the bed. So if you need a place to do that, you just cut a 80/20, bolt it in. It's so versatile. I mean, that's really why we used it on this van. And then you can get the smooth face so that you can keep it exposed and have more of like a design aesthetic. So that's what I did there. But anyway, so that we have that storage, we have this storage, and then if we come over here to the right side, let's see. I'm gonna move this stuff down. I didn't clean this up, so don't worry, Thomas. But what we have here is we've got the same thing that we did over here, the same slider, and what we've done is this is where obviously our microwave is, so we can open this. We've got our microwave in here. Now this is just a regular, microwave picked up at Lowe's. You'll want to take this out when you travel. I actually didn't hear it when I was traveling back, but and then this is actually bolted in. So I took sheet metal screws and this is bolted in. You can kind of see right here. So it's so stable that I can actually shut the door like that. But we've got our microwave, and then we have our shelf back here. And then back here, this is our ABS plastic. It's a texturized ABS plastic. And I got this idea from Humble Road. And what you can do is, this is where all the wires are behind here. And if I need to access anything in the future for Thomas, I can just take this ABS out, do maintenance, and then put it back. So it's really versatile. So these are the big doors, and they just slide. So nice and easy. If they ever dry out, all you got to do is put a little wax on these rails, and they're going to slide perfectly. This, I did a YouTube short. This is a RFID lock. So right now, it's locked. You can't open it. You need a RFID thing to unlock it. I don't have it with me. But that is our, that's all the storage that we have in here. So we really try to make use of it. And then over here, this, if you guys can think, this and an ABS piece of plastic here will finish this corner up. We repurposed these cargo lights, and I wired them into the door light sensor circuit. So when you normally get in the van, these lights turn on, you shut the door, they turn off. Four-way stretch fabric was upholstered here all the way down. And then again, we'll close this in and ABS plastic here. This is the Murphy bed. So everybody's been really excited about this Murphy bed. I wasn't going to leave it open like this, but it looks so cool. We just decided to leave it open. So the way that this was created is we've got 5 fire door hinges. So these fire door hinges have these little pins, and you can bend them back, preload each one of these, and I know the camera's off. You can preload each of those and get a couple pounds worth of force on the hinges. And it's just enough to soften it from slamming down. It's just a little bit of a spring assist. And so we use that to move the bed up and down. And again, the reason that we wanted to use 80/20 for this project is because there's specific hardware that's used in the, so I used to be an engineer for Bosch, and we made, I did preventative maintenance on the anti-lock brake system assembly line. And so those assembly lines that make the ABS unit for your cars are all constructed out of 80/20. So it's because they build it overseas and then they actually ship it over, and then it's assembled in the US. So anyway, but by doing that, I've always seen these like little cool like latches and stuff like that. So I knew that this is something I could have used for his van. And I always like to have some type of redundancy in my designs. So this is your first locking. You can lock it if you want to, but we don't, because it stays locked. But over here is the safety latch. So the safety latch does two things. One, it's the safety latch, and two, I put it in here with a bit of some pressure. So up here is like a little bit of felt, and this additional pressure, when you push it in and latch it, it allows it to not shake when you drive the van. It keeps it nice and locked in. So if you open it up, you notice, see, that side is still locked in. It's not going anywhere. So if you accidentally left this open, you're still fine. Over here, this is where you just pull it, and then now it's unlocked. And you'll see that it comes down, and I'm just one-handing this. Comes down, and then this is the bed system. So we got a custom mattress from Roam Rest. We'll talk about that in the future. We had to tweak it a little bit, so it's been taken out. Over here, actually, Thomas, this is perfect that you didn't put the bolts back in, because I can show the water tank. So obviously this is bolted in, but you guys can see here, we've got our breather vent for the water tank. And then if you need to add antifreeze, what Thomas did is the RV antifreeze was added to here. So you just take that out, put it in, and close it. But this kind of is like, this is so that when the tank is drained, it can breathe. Because if a vacuum gets strong enough on this tank, the pump, it'll actually be hard for the pump to pump. But then we got our hot and water, hot and cold. And so I'm not trying to show off here, but this is to help you guys with your builds. So what I did is I didn't just lay these things in here. These things are actually bolted into the 80/20. Hold on. Ugh.
Man, that was going so well. Hold on, I gotta change the transmitter battery. This big thing on the back. It's okay. We're learning all this live. Oh, go and do. Cool. I'm glad you looked up that Paragolfer. That's a really cool piece of machinery. Really cool. Yeah, see, I still got 41% on the GoPro. So while I am doing my personal tech support here, definitely start putting some questions in the comments. Let me know if you kind of like this format for going through the van. I'd like to do it in the future when I get to really technical stuff. One of my pet peeves, and I'm happy that everybody makes videos and puts them on the internet. I'm not judging quality, but a pet peeve I have is when somebody's teaching you how to install something, it's usually like a time lapse. And once the time lapse is over, it's like, yep, and that's how I did it. And so you miss the specifics. Because I think everybody's okay with long format video because you can go back, you can, scrub the video to wherever you want to look, that sort of thing. Anyway, my point is, I think this will be a good way to, when I am doing builds in the shop, you guys can be right there with me, and you can really see how it's done. You can put questions in the chat, and yeah, so the water tank does not have baffles in it. Is my chat box on? Yeah, and you guys know I'm a details person, and it just comes from learning things the hard way. So when I was an engineer for the textile company, that was my first job out of college. It was essentially like a polyester factory. So I just kind of got thrown in as the engineering supervisor for a team of mechanics, and those guys are amazing, by the way. They taught me a lot, but I learned the hard way that, you can't just get close with things. There was like gearboxes and couplings and stuff. I won't go into detail, but basically you have to get it right the first time, because there's a lot of effort that goes into planning the day and shutting stuff down to get that fix done. And the way I translate it to vans is, if you're a DIYer and you've never done something before, you don't know what's going to happen down the road. So I do. So I know if I've messed up and said, oh man, I didn't give enough room for this one component, I've already built 70% of the cabinet, like that sort of thing. So hopefully I don't show too many mistakes, but along the way with this channel, my goal is to, show you like real time me putting stuff together. And, sometimes there'll be something that goes awesome or something that needs improvement. Like, for example, the power system upgrade we're going to do, there's nothing wrong with it, but it would be nice if it just, instead of the batteries being like 80, 90%, we just had a system that was just like, boom, 100% all the time. Or, really close. So there's always room for improvement. All right, so I've talked long enough for this thing to cool down. I'm going to get a battery, and then I'm going to change this battery, and we're going to get back to the tour. I guess I could technically call this the intermission. It's the Van Build Show, Van Builder HQ intermission. All right, we got a new GoPro. It's fresh. Let's turn this on. Oh, it's booting up. Yeah, as soon as they sync, then we can get going. All right, that should be synced up. Go. All right. Looks good. All right, guys, back to the tour. All right, so we have the bed system here. We were talking about the water tank. So what I did was not only did I bolt this down so this won't rattle while Thomas is driving, but I put this felt on both sides so that if this thing slaps at all, it's also quiet. But this tank does not have baffles. It's a 20-gallon tank, and it goes over the wheel well. But since it goes over the wheel well, there's like a chamber up here, and then it dives down. So it almost has its own little wave break just because of the radius of the wheel well. So, it's whenever I drive it, I haven't heard anything. But yeah, plus we've got so much Havelock wool all around that thing. I mean, this whole bottom chamber is stuffed with Havelock. The whole back is Havelock.
This inside is Havelock, so it's buffered really well. And again, any place in this van that I could put sound deadening, I've done it because of this guy. So I still got some work to do on here. There's some type of rattle, and I really want to tamp it down. Yeah, because I enjoy listening to good bass too. Yeah, but this is the bed system, and these are IKEA slats, believe it or not. These are the same kind of pre-tensioned IKEA slats that you can find at IKEA. All I've done is there's a video that shows how this is done. I've just cut the ends off, and then this is bolted into the 80/20. And yeah, it looks cool. It works awesome. And then in the back here, we've got the window covers. But then up here, this is what we'll close all this in, we'll insulate it. All right, so that is the bed. Over here, we talked about the sink, cold and hot water. We'll be permanently mounting this paper towel holder in a little bit. And then over here, we have our washdown system. So our washdown system consists of our hose, all right, with our hose nozzle. It does have a locking feature if you did want to do kind of shower mode. This is a hot and cold mixer valve, so on and off, hot and cold. And then when it says washdown, but what I've done is it's been re-springed. So not this, but the nozzle that goes into it, I removed the check valve so that I could use this port as a connection port. This is the Aquar system. So if you guys have a question about the water, this system, put it in the chat. I can't see the chat right now, but put it in the chat, and when I come back, I'll show you where I got this. And the reason I love it so much is it's just a very nice clean system. Remember, this type of feature is going to be on this whole back wall. So this box will look like this corner. So that's what we got to clean up. We've already done the 4-way stretch carpet here to clean this pillar up. Just in case he needs it, we've just retained a tie-down point from the factory. And by accident, this turned out to be a perfect cubby for the water filter. So here is that Aquar. It's A-Q-U-O-R, I think, yeah. But then what I've done here is the inside, I took the check valve out so that when I put this in here, so basically you just take this in here. I'm not going to do it now. It's going to make a mess. But you put it in, and then you twist it, and it locks into place. Hose goes into here. This filter filters the water. And then when you're ready to go, you open this up, and the tank starts to fill. Yeah, so this was extremely challenging because not only do we have to do all this here, but if you notice, this is not the top of the tank where you would normally fill the tank up. So the reason that I needed this twist in, yep, I know it's off. The reason that I needed this twist in system is because I needed it to seal so that the pressure of the hose could actually push the water into the tank. It's not ideal, but the setup that we have just did not allow the we have no space. There's no space in here. So I mean, see our tolerances? See how close to the ramp we are, and the ramp spring, and see right here the shock and the floor. I mean, everything is just super, super tight. But anyway, so this is what filters your water. You always want to filter your water before putting it in your water tank. Protects your pump, protects your pipes, because you don't want all that junk settling in your bottom of your tank, because it's challenging to get out. All right, moving over to the passenger side. This is one of the projects we'll be working on by the vans here. This is an ARB air compressor. This thing is extremely overkill, but that is the way we roll here. Typically, you'd use one of these, or this dual system would be used. This usually gets mounted in the engine, and it's more like a 4x4 off-road system. But since it's one of the best, that's why we have it in the van. And it is very awesome. So right here where this tape is covering up, that is the output port. And so I've got to plumb a line coming in and down, and that'll be so that Thomas can inflate and deflate all 4 tires. So we've got a system that I think I've figured out how to do it. So we'll do that. This is the Manager 30. This is where the power from the battery of the engine comes in for the DC to DC charging. And this is an MPPT controller. So it is a DC to DC charger and an MPPT controller, and it varies between the input source. So if you have solar, it will take the solar first and then the engine power. But if you have not a lot of solar, it will take the opposite. And then, yep. So what we got to do is we got to move this up because the wheel comes in here, and it comes in right here. But if someone, like a friend or something like that doesn't know how this works, it is possible for this to actually bump up here. That's why we got to fix it. But anyway, so we're going to add another DC to DC. This one will not have an integrated MPPT controller because we don't need more solar at this moment. It'll just be a DC to DC, 30 amp. Probably going to go with a Victron unit, and we'll put it in here somewhere, possibly. I'm not sure. I kind of would like it to go on top of this. So Thomas, if you're watching, let me know, because all the Victron stuff here would look cool, I think. All right, and then we have this back here. Now, if you wonder why Mike put my hand back here, is I wanted Thomas to be able to, if he took these covers out, he can still put them back in. He still has access. This wasn't going to go all the way to the window. To give that really cool vibe, we put a LED bar here. And that LED in this red color, you guys can see, that red color is, they're controlled on the same circuit. And then what I did is this piece of acrylic is, it has the frosted glass vinyl on the inside with my logo, because it looks awesome. And let's see here. And then down here, so I'm really a stickler for detail. So you guys can see this is just super detailed with all the, so I mean anywhere you look it's going to be very clean. So just very clean looking. All right, now we get to this last part before I talk about the Amazon stuff and the next 3 projects. So I'm going to pause and check the chat. See here, popcorn ready. Oh, that's awesome. Would you get your bug screen? So the bug screen is from a guy called Bug. Good Lord.
You know, this frustrates me more than you guys. Yeah. It's got a full battery. I have no idea why it's turning off, because I've set it to never ever turn off. But electronics. Okay. All right. Yeah, so the back, let's check this out. It's called the bug wall. So the back here, so he's in South Carolina, and he
makes all this. Now, Roll-Lift is the Canadian company, but this stuff is made in USA. So it's pretty nice. So this is the back. So this screen comes all the way down. This right here has his logo. And it's all got, it has magnets on it. All right, the bug wall. This is your moment to shine here. So that's the bug wall logo. But you know, this guy, he did a great job because I mean everything is super custom. I mean, you guys already know how detailed this is, but see how it magnetizes to the wheelchair lift? See that? Nice and clean. I'm gonna show off one more thing because you guys might never see this. But what I did here, check this out. So this is the back of the electrical system. So just if you guys like nerding out on detail. So just super clean. And that hides all the wire runs and all that. And then right here, just as a super, just really making sure I have ventilation to the inverter. This is the exhaust. This is where the inverter exhaust passage comes through. So it comes through right here. This type of wood here is, I treated this differently than other parts of the van. So this is sealed and then waterproofed and then upholstered. So technically if this gets rained on, it's gonna be fine. But then we got the bug wall coming down. We have to be careful because, see right here, this can go, this is okay here, but we can't, this tolerance right here where the door shuts, we gotta be careful so that it seals properly. So this side's okay, but you guys can see here, yeah. So that's the bug wall, so this is nice, completely sealed. And then over here, this panel comes down. And again, you gotta be careful here, so this has to kind of go like that. But what's nice is this middle section, you know, Thomas can get in and out, and it's just this one middle section. So these two sides. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I've put this up and down a couple of times, and it's held up. You do have to be very careful about this channel here. This gasket really only likes to be taken off once and put back on and then not touched. I had to remove it in the back so that I could upholster the four-way stretch carpet. And yeah, it was a little finicky trying to put back together to make sure. There's these really cool staple, like these crimp staples that he uses. And so, anyway. A little too much about that topic, but hey, if you guys have questions, let me know. Do I prefer inside or outside fresh water fill? I'm undecided. Let's see.
So, my opinion is if you can cut I can't even say this. The least amount of holes you can cut in a van, the better. And typically it's going to be not that much of an issue to just open a back door and fill your water tank up. So with our situation, the power system needed to be on the right side and not the left side because I didn't have room to run the water lines underneath the floor. I didn't want to do that because that would have you're just asking for those to get frozen. So I didn't do that. But in a perfect world, if you could do like well, this is not perfect. Every van's different. But if you're doing a kitchen galley on the passenger side, that's typically the better place to do your water tank and kitchen galley. Like have all that plumbing on the right side of your van, because most American vans, the right door on the rear of the van is the one that opens first. So instead of opening both doors, you can just open one door to fill your tank. So if you have the layout that allows you, or the layout you want that allows you to have the kitchen galley and water tank on the passenger side of the van, that would be the best. And then have your electrical side on the driver's side, not only because you don't have to access a door, but remember the power lines are going to be coming from typically where the driver's seat is on a Ford Transit back in the van. So that way you don't have to cross the power line over your van. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about that because the other van that we have in here that we've put the adventure wagon system in, the kitchen galley is on the passenger side of the van with the water tank. So you'll actually see how I do that water fill. And I'm not going to do exterior. So it'll be interior. And really, if you can design a power system to where you don't have to have an external charger, we're going to put one on this van, but we're not going to cut a hole through the van. We're going to have it up under that wheel well area, kind of incognito. Yeah, so I prefer it on the inside. A water fill on the inside. All right, let's get this back going. All right, so now we're going to get to the power system. So as you guys saw, the phone right here, this is the app. We got all of our stuff controlled here. We also have the Garmin app that we'll show in a second. But let's talk about this. So this is our, I guess you would call it like command center. And so everything goes here, and this is where everything is organized. So our main unit is this. I don't have there's a plate that covers it, so this actually looks better. It actually covers this white sticker and everything. But I may need to move this, that's why I haven't done that. But this is the red arc system. So you have your awning LED, your awning motor. This is your water system on and off. So not only from the phone, but you can turn it off here, on and off here. We have the interior lights. We have our power for our red LED lights over here. So you can see how that looks at nighttime. Then over here we have our power for this. So this is our under sink light. So it's just a touch sensitive light. And the theory is that if Thomas is over here, this little button, again, there's no switches, but if he did want to switch it off, he just has to touch it. He doesn't have to worry about a switch. And then the only switch we have in the van, this one, this just controls the overhead lights. So you can turn them all the way off, or you can turn them on. This we're going to clean up. We're going to do all black heat shrink to clean this up. I just needed to get this. This is made for kind of like boats, ATVs, that sort of thing. So it's not, this is obviously meant to look very aesthetically pleasing, but this one, we needed wireless capability in a small unit. This thing is perfect. So this, we'll show you on the outside. Gonna make sure I don't hit 6. This is the ARB. It's so loud. Then 5. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 are these lights. Right here on the outside of the van. They're extremely bright. So I'm going to show you how bright they are. I'm going to turn off all the lights in the shop here. Okay. So this is the shop. We're going to turn the lights off.
This is just the van lighting the shop up. Yeah, this is only the van lighting the shop up. And these are the Squadron Pros from Baja Design. They're crazy. This will actually be a good opportunity to show you the, so we're going to turn those off. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to turn on the awning LED. So you guys can see the awning LED. And when you open it, it gets much brighter. And then this is the motor. So the motor, this is like a lockout switch. So basically, if you're driving, as long as this does not have power, you can't accidentally hit the remote and extend the awning when you're driving. The only way the awning works is if I touch this. Now it's armed and has power to the motor. So I wired it that way just for safety. And that way if you turn this off, the remote control won't do anything. All right, let's keep going before this GoPro cuts out. We've got our Kotech inverter. So all we got to do is just hold this down. Our inverter turns on. And when the inverter turns on, our blue... I didn't make it. Hold on. Here we go. We're almost there. All right, I saw some questions come through. Let me get some questions while I'm turning this back on. Sasquatch lights. You got that right. Yeah, there's some Sasquatch lights. They're so bright. There's some back roads in South Carolina I was coming back on. The lights are so bright. Even though there's nobody on the road, they're so bright you almost feel guilty turning them on. I mean, they're that bright. And I have a video on my phone showing just how insanely bright they are. All right, this is my solution to the AC panel. If you guys go online and you go to RV stores, they have that atrocious, just big, boxy plastic cooling fan, like household breaker system. The aesthetics on that to me are just not, I don't like it. This is a Blue Sea Systems one. It's super clean. It has 4 integrated 15 amp circuit breakers. Now this is 120 volt AC. We have our forward cabin outlets, which is the one over here, right back there. We've got our main cabin outlet, which is this one. So this is how Thomas can actually plug in his charger to charge his Paragolfer. We've got the microwave circuit, and then we've got the water, and then we've got the water heater. So we got all that. And so down here, we've got the water heater timer. So right now the water heater's not on. We can select 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever. Select it, and then that is how long that the water heater will remain on, and then it'll automatically turn off. Again, 2 household outlets, just in case he wants to cook, like put the induction stove and cook outside. This is the one he would use. We didn't put outlets all over the place. Again, it's simplicity. We really only need 2 outlets and then a microwave and a water heater. It's very clean, simple. Don't have to worry about it breaking. And then these are in order. So we got 12 volt accessories here, and then we've got 120 volt accessories here. So that's how that was my thought process of laying this out. So you know if you turn this off, everything from here down is safely off. There is no power from here down. And then this is cool. The red vision. I need some water. The red vision system automatically turns the screen off, so you can, you're not annoyed by it. Shows you the. I know this is not going to come up clear, but I'll do my best. So it shows you the percentage of the battery, the draw, and then on the battery, and then wherever your power is coming from. So for example, if I go and I turn the shop lights back on, we'll see the solar come back on. All right, so if you guys can see here, there we go. So you can see that little sun coming on. That's my garage light that's actually feeding a little bit of power into the panels. All right, last but not least, let's talk about the Garmin. So this Garmin power switch, up to 100 amps of power flowing through here. We don't have that much, so I just went with a 6-gauge wire. This number 5, that is our nighttime light. So if we turn these lights off, check it out. This is our nighttime light for the kitchen. Right there. Gives us a little bit of light in the cabinets. I haven't put that plastic here, so ignore that, but there'll be a red light in there. So that's kind of our nighttime light for getting around at night in the van without turning on the other lights. And then that's our nighttime light over here. All right, so we'll turn this back on. So that's what number 5 is. Number 6 is the ARB compressor. We're not going to turn that on because it is so loud. And then we try to just cleanly put this with the wheelchair lift over here. And I think that is pretty much it. Look at that. Perfect timing. Okay. How was the tour, guys? Did you enjoy the tour? Yeah, I've been waiting to do that. Mainly, I just want a video out there so that people can watch it and then ask questions, and then I can turn that into future live streams. All right, let me clean all this up. And let's get to the last part of the video tonight, which is going to be talking about this Amazon stuff. So this right here. I'm going to grab some water. Questions for power or anything, put those in the comments below. But yeah, give me like 5 seconds. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the 3 things that we were going to talk about. So what we're going to be doing, other than everything I was pointing out in the van, Thomas needs a way to control both the a heated blanket at nighttime, and then also he's going to use that same 12-volt power source. Or we discussed that we want to take the components that we thought we were going to use the inverter for off of the inverter that do not need to be on the inverter. Anything that is 12 volts, 15 volts, stuff like that. And yes, you can convert 12 volt and boost it to 15 volts. And if you guys remember Ohm's law, that's the scientific reason we're able to do that. Because you can take your current, you can kind of rob current to boost voltage. I think I got that right. So it's not magic. Magic's not happening by going from 12 to 15.
But there is a bit of a science behind that. And the way you do that is with this thing. It's called they're called buck boost. If buck boost is like a Google term, that's what they're called. But I don't know if the ones that, so a step down of voltage, like 12 volts down. Anyway, it's like a booster module. I'm gonna lose my train of thought here. All right, so this guy right here. So this is a 15 volt, 4 amp DC to DC converter. Now, okay, let me set the stage for what we're talking about. So what we're talking about is we have USB outlet in the van because Thomas wants to charge or run a blanket, charge his cell phone at night, and charge the laptop because, we all like to, like we're hanging out at night, watching like videos or stuff like that online. We're watching Van Builder HQ, right? We're watching videos, and instead of turning the inverter on just to charge our laptop, which technically doesn't make sense because, you don't need 120 volts to charge a laptop. Because the laptop's usually only charging at like 60 watts most of the time. Maybe 90. I don't think they have 90 watt chargers. Like 60, 45 watts, that sort of thing. So guess what? So what we're going to do is let's develop a solution to turn the inverter off, yet boost our power source so that it adequately charges those devices. That's what we're doing. So this is the first thing. We're going to go over 3 things. This is the first thing. So this is what we're using. This is a booster module. I'm getting ahead of myself. This booster module is for the Wi-Fi. That is the second thing. I'm going too fast here. We'll come back to this. We will come back to this. This is the booster for the Wi-Fi antenna. All right, let me back up. Here we go. Okay. Let's start off with this. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to, let me move my head over here. There we go. Yeah, it's essentially a voltage regulator. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. What's cool with the times we live in, that you can just buy one off of Amazon for hardly nothing. I guess back when I went to school, like those integrated circuits or whatever, like you would kind of build them. But now you can just buy them off Amazon. It's pretty sweet. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, it took me a while to find this, but this is a 83 watt. Why does it say 80? You guys gotta be very careful on this stuff. I don't know why it says 83 because the picture says 65. So we're gonna have to really double check that. Okay, 83 watt, 12 volt, and then 65 watt. Okay, so the QC 3.0 must be the 85 watt, and then the 65 watt that's labeled with the PD will be for our laptop. So essentially what I'm doing for him is I'm wiring this in so that instead of turning the inverter on, we can just use direct 12 volt power to charge the laptop. So let me get a charger real quick. All right, so this is how we are in reverse engineering everything. I need one more thing. Okay, so this is the solution that we're putting together. The first problem we got to solve is how do we charge the laptop? How do we go from a brick that plugs into the wall for a MacBook? How do we go from that to a 12-volt USB Type-C charger? Step one. Step two, how do we take a household Wi-Fi router, like a cell booster router, whatever. How do we take that is AC and convert it to run off of 12 volts? Technically 15, remember that. So these are our problems that we need to solve. And this is my plan. I call it a plan because every time I've done this, it's always been a different scenario. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to take, you guys can't see this, but on the back of every device, there's a bunch of fine print. This fine print gives you a ton of information. If you remember, in the van weight video, you had all those labels and stickers on the inside door telling you about your grand vehicle weight, whatever. Well, this is kind of like the electronic version of that. So if we look here, this is not a MacBook charger, but this is an Anchor charger. If you look on here and reread it, it says USB-C output. The output is what we want to know. We want to know we don't care what the input is. We know it's 110, 10, 15 amps, household power. We want to look at the output. So it says USB-C output, 5 volts, 2.4 amps. Okay? 9 volts, 3 amps, 15 volts, 3 amps, 20 volts, 2.25 amps. So this has multiple ranges. What does it tell us wattage? This Anchor. So let's go look this up. Let's do Anchor IQ charger. This Elite. I have this one. So this is a 20 watt USB Type-C charger. This is 20 watts. An Apple has a 96 watt USB-C charger. Okay, so 20 watts, 96 watts, doesn't matter. All that means is one's going to charge faster than the other. So let's get back here. All right, so we got 65. So we're okay. We got 65 watts. We can charge that. And then the other outlet, we got a QC 3.0. We'll have enough juice to do his heated blanket. So these are the 2 units we'll be putting in there. And all we got to do is make sure, it doesn't say what it comes with. So this is why you really got to look at the details, because it says 83 watt 12 volt, 65 watt PD for laptop. But then if you go down here to this advertisement, it has 18 watt for the QC 3.0 at the bottom, and then it has 65 watt for the PD 3.0. It's fine. It's going to work. And so now that we've found this solution for the laptop and the blanket, we're going to do this on separate circuits. So we'll fuse one. So what I'll do is just advise Thomas that you can only use one for the blanket and one for the laptop. That way you don't overload the circuit, because it'll come with these fuses right here, these glass 10 amp fuses. And what we'll do is we can, with the red arc system, we'll go look at the screen. And so you can safely play around with this. So I know sometimes power and electronics can get kind of scary, but it's a fuse. So, plug the laptop in, let it start charging, look at your voltage display that shows you how much, where your shunt is. So the shunt is what is, that's what's letting you know how much power is going in and out. So we can go to the red arc. We can look where our power in and power out is. We can see how much current. We'll turn everything off. So the only thing on is these two USB ports. You can even take the fuse out of one of them, so you know exactly that one port is pulling this much amperage. And just monitor it. Have a fully dead laptop, plug it in, the 65 watt, and just let it crank. If we look at this anchor right here, now this is perfect world scenario. But if we look at this, it has 2.4 amps, 3 amps, 3 amps, 2.25 amps. So this thing is not going to pull anywhere over 3 amps. So we know that this basically is only going to pull 3 amps. And where's my phone? So let's see where they got the 20 watts from. So we can do 9 times 3. Yeah, so like 9 times 3 is 27. They probably have it regulated to 20 watts. So that's probably, so this is not going to go, we don't have to worry about a circuit being over 3 amps. The next question would be, what kind of wire should we use? Well, it comes with a 10 amp fuse, so we might as well, let's do 10 amp. So 16 gauge wire. Instead of 10 amps, let's go to 8. 8 amps wire size. Nope. Man, I'm getting rusty here. So we had 10 amps. Maybe we just do 5 amps. So let's do 22 gauge. So 22 gauge solid core, 5 amps, 3 amps. So we don't want to get into the territory of how we did our LED wiring, because we used, I think we used 22 gauge for that because it's very, very low amperage. So probably 18 gauge. Yeah, so 18 gauge is 7. Seven, 5.6. So the kit that Amazon is selling to you, this one, it gives you 10 amp fuses, so you could size this to 10 amps, 14 gauge wire. If you wanted to be a little bit less, getting closer to, this would be fine. So 14 gauge. And so that's our wire that we'll use. We'll use the 10 amp inline fuse, and then we'll use these two things, and that will be our phone charger, heated blanket, and laptop charger. And we'll put that behind the sink area on that wall. That's where we decided to put it. Okay. That is the first part. Let's go into the second part. Yeah, I'm going to try to close up this stream here. So if you guys have questions, ask them right now because I'm going to go through this next part pretty quickly. So the next thing we want to do is we want to look at this. So we have a Wi-Fi router that I think it has like a cellular card in it, and it uses this USB-C cable. So it plugs into the wall outlet, right? And then it uses a USB-C to connect the power. So USB-C has I think it's a 4-wire pinout. There's 2 communication, and then there's 2 communication, and there's the negative and positive for the power. So this is my plan to solve that problem. So this plug, if we look at this plug right here, we look at this information, it says that this adapter has 3 areas. It has an output of 15 volts, 2.5 amps, 9 volts, 2.2 amps, 5 volts, 2 amps. So what I did is I referenced this to the unit that's actually needs the power. So the router that actually needs the power is consuming 15 volts at 2.5 amps. Yes, so always consider the length of wire. So Dream 27K, that is an amazing thing that you just said, because I, by default, always size up so that it's extremely rare that I have a wire that's, let's just say, longer than 20 feet or whatever, 30 feet in a van. You will have that voltage drop. However, for this system, like a 10 amp fuse, when the circuit, so 10 amp fuse mixed with the 14 gauge wire for this particular application, since we have the potential to push 10 amps up to 10 amps through that wire, but we're only going to be using maybe 2.5 amps, so almost 25% of that. We have the flexibility to not worry so much about the length. But you are 100% right. If you really had an extremely long length and you wanted to go with a very thin wire, you would need to very much pay attention to your voltage drop across that length of wire. Well, not only that wire that's very thin, if you made it too small a gauge or too thin of a wire, it actually trying to heat up and get really hot to where it would almost melt because it's trying to push that much current through. So no, very good point. So this is what we're going to use to power we're emulating this plug. So this box right here, we're going to take this box and we're going to replace it with this box. Now, notice that this is not a 15 volt 2.5 amp on the screen. It's a 15 volt 4 amp. Fortunately, that is the closest we can get, but we're going to be okay. It will not be an issue. So 15 volt 4 amp. At this current moment, it's not an issue. How about that? I won't promise too much. This is the fun thing about custom stuff. You can theorize all day, but until you plug all this stuff and wire it and solder it together, you really don't know if it's going to work or not. But I've done this a bunch of times, so this is I'm just showing you my process for having to engineer this, because everything's pretty much one-off. So this little black box is going to replace this little white box. So now that we've been able to connect a 12 volt input source and we've been able to change it to 15 volt 4 amp for our output, the next step is we need to emulate the USB-C part of this. Since the port on the Wi-Fi adapter, that's how it's then taking its power, is through USB-C. So we are going to have to literally make our own cable end. So we went on Amazon and we found a USB-C cable end. There's 2 types of these. Now, if you see here, USB-C has 4 wires. I think you got positive, negative, and then the 2, the green and white, or whatever it is. Those are data communication. So as far as what I've researched, that would be the first thing that would hinder my progress here. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to engineer it out as being a thing I have to deal with. I don't want to deal with 4 wires because I'm just using it for power. I don't care about data transfer. So what I did is I looked online, and if you notice, I found a USB that only has 2 wires come out. So it is only power. And then if I go up here, this says 2-wire power supply extension cable. And then down here it says where did it say that? It said somewhere that it was only for power. Okay, it's rated at 3 amps. We only need 2.5. The 2-core USB cable can only be used for power supply, not for data transfer. That's music to my ears. That's all I want to deal with. So now that we've found our box that's going to convert our 12 volts to 15 volt 4 amp, and now that we've sized our wire appropriately at 3 amps, make sure, we should be able to solder this together, put it into a circuit, fuse it, do all that fun stuff. And now Thomas will be able to run his Wi-Fi router off of his lithium batteries with no need to plug in the brick into the inverter. So why do we keep trying to get away from the inverter? Well, the inverter is not an efficient way to use power in a van scenario, especially when the voltage is so low. So like charging your cell phone doesn't make any sense off an inverter. No sense. Because if you can kind of think of it in simple terms, your inverter, it's for an induction stove. It's for like to use an electric drill or like, stuff that has, a lot of power, high voltage, high current, 10, 15 amp current type of thing. But when you're charging your phone off of it, it's just silly. It just doesn't make sense. It's very inefficient. So we want to regain that efficiency because that efficiency is going to allow our batteries to last longer. So that was our main objective. Now let's go to our third and final part of this upgrade video, and that is security. So I just researched this today. I may change my mind, but I kind of like this system. So what we're going to do is the same thing we did to the laptop charger, the same thing we did to convert the power from the Wi-Fi router. We're going to convert power to run a compact indoor plug-in smart security camera. This way, he can monitor his van when he's not in the van. We got 400 amp hours of battery. We'll be able to run that router a long time, especially if it's only doing like 2.5 amps of draw, at least a couple days. And we got solar coming in. So really, this theoretically should be able to run indefinitely. So I'm thinking about going with this Blink Mini. I know people are kind of weird about like security cameras and the Amazon stuff and the Ring stuff, but I like how these components integrate They have an app. This thing has 228,000 ratings. So it's something that the software should be pretty solid enough to where it will it'll work well, I think. The cool thing is they had a black option versus the white. I know Thomas likes matte black type of stuff. We're probably going to be mounting this over the Van Wybe shelves that I upholstered. That way I can permanently mount it there. It is 1080p HD video. It is night vision and it has motion detection. So you can turn motion detection on if something in the van falls or moves or, the ultimate happens, something breaks in or whatever. You're going to be able to, the motion sensing is going to capture it. Two-way audio. It's pretty crazy. Works with Alexa. Let's see here. Yeah. Now, let's start going through the technical part. How are we going to power this? Well, we need to look at specs. So I know it has... Well, I'm not really worried about the specs because I've already researched the power supply. So I found out that these companies make these, like Alert Cam makes these power extension cables specifically molded for the Blink Mini. So what I'm going to do is I buy these cables, and then what I'll do is I'll splice it and, well, actually I won't do that to this one. I'll literally just plug this into one of these right here. Into a USB port. I'll conceal it. So I'll make a neat little plug-in for this wire, and the wire will go through the van to the camera. And so now the camera is powered. All right, so let's review here. We've got our USB ports, plug our phone, blanket, and laptop. We got that all converted. We've converted our power supply to our Wi-Fi router, correct voltage, and we've now powered our Wi-Fi system camera. So that way, when this is all working, we've got extremely efficient power supply, and then we're maybe pulling a max of 5 amps or something like that. I really highly doubt that, but let's just say it's 5 amps. We've got solar during the daytime. We got 400 amp hours of power. So for monitoring purposes, for security purposes, when he's not in the van, this little system of upgrades should be able to fit really nice as our improvements. And then down here at the bottom, you guys see I've got some power stuff. This has to do with this last upgrade. So I guess there's 4. Not sure why I said 3. The last one is the DC to DC charger upgrade. Now we have a 30 amp charger, but we're going to be adding another 30 amp charger because the Ford Transits have about 190 amp alternator factory up to like 200 and something. So I'm going to find out exactly what alternator is on here. I looked it up and it said 190 amps, but I want to look at the serial number and find out exactly what's on this van. But 60 amps should be no problem. Usually the upper limit is 50 amps with just a standard car alternator to be safe. But remember, if we do 30 amps here, we still have our red arc system that is modulating power from the solar panels. So let's just say the solar panels are providing 20 amps of power, theoretically. That 10 amps is going to come from the alternator. So really the alternator combined with this new unit is going to only do 40 amps and get the rest from solar. Or if there is no solar, we're going to have 60 amps from the engine battery. So we're going to install this one. Thomas mentioned he wanted Bluetooth. So this has Bluetooth, so you can download the Victron app and see how much power is coming in from the engine on the secondary system. What's cool about a secondary system is, let's just say the whole Red Arc system quit. I don't know, something messed up. He would still be able to charge via this system because I'm going to be separately wiring them. One, because I've already maxed out my current on the 6-gauge line. So to do that, we're going to get one of these. We're going to buy some more wire, 6-gauge wire. Again, 6-gauge is a little overkill for 30 amps, so it's okay. We've got our ring terminals, our battery lugs, wire lugs, ring lugs, and then we've got our fuse. So remember, this was what's behind the driver's seat. So now we'll just have 2 of these. And then we'll rate this fuse at 50 amps. So we have 2 50-amp fuses in line. And then that'll be the upgrade of the power system. We're going to add a second battery disconnect. What I'm going to use this for is, since we can't, I didn't have room for this, since we can't shut off the solar without taking the acrylic panel off of the battery system, I'm going to go into the negative wire and wire in this disconnect switch. So this disconnect switch will be right below. So there's the disconnect switch now. This red one will be another one. Looks exactly the same aesthetically, but you'll have 2 disconnects. So that way, there's so much solar on the roof that when we turn the power system off, we can't get a full system restart, obviously, because we have power feeding back through the solar system. So this will allow him to fully disconnect the system by turning this off and this off. All right, guys, that is all I've got tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the stream. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. That was a long one, but I really wanted to get Thomas's van tour, the brief tour, done first so you guys could get some questions and then go through everything else. So let me just put this. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching tonight. Join us this week. We'll be doing more streams coming through, and I'm always here to answer your questions. So put those in the chat, the comment box at the bottom of the webpage, or of YouTube, in the chat box, or the comments. If you put it on any video, I'm going to see that in the YouTube studio, and I'll put that together to again put together streams answering questions. So I'm always there to answer your questions. Yep. So shoot me a message on YouTube. And yeah, hope you guys have a excellent evening. I'm going to close out by briefly hopping over here to Odyssey Custom Vans. That way you guys can contact me directly. So if you want to contact me directly, now this specifically is for personal van builds for you guys if you want to be a future client. But also use this link for consultation purposes. So I'll be setting up a consultation program so you guys can schedule time with me online for a phone call. You know, we can do it for like an hour and we can answer anything you have. I'll give you an hour. Any question you guys have, you can ask me during that call. So you can book those in the future. So I'm hopefully by next week, I can set up a little calendar login to where you guys pick a time and we'll set up a consultation call to answer specific questions. That way you can directly reach out to me. But until then, contact page, odysseycustomvans.com. Make sure you put your name, last name, email, phone number, subject of the call or consultation or build. And then in the message box, your consultation question and or personal van building. Like I said, as an actual client. As far as my timeline goes, probably at the time of filming this video, August 2023 would be the first next opening, because we have these two projects that are being worked on at the moment. All right, guys, that was a long stream. Thank you so much for watching. And yep, I can't wait to see you guys in the next live stream. Have a great night, and we'll see you in the next one.